Hi everybody, good morning. Rev Katherine here with John Foltz making his way over. My artistic director and tech, what is that? Cameraman,
whatever.
Technology guru.
The guy with the thing doing the stuff.
Making it happen. You're making it happen, John. You're making it happen.
Participating in whatever happens.
Yes, here we go once again. So I'm going to take one more sip of my tea and say good morning here on this wonderful Sunday morning in the middle of November.
Wait, stop. Just stop.
Oh my goodness, can you believe it? It is November, and although it is going to be like hot as heck this week, but I'm not doing the weather report today, although it is a glorious, beautiful day.
It is.
And
glorious.
It is. We are here.
A little chilly.
It's a little chilly today, but in my house, it's chilly in the house. It's warm outside is what it's going to be today.
Yes.
And we have the windows closed today, my door closed today because my chickens are making a lot of noise. Yeah, they're laying their eggs, and so they're a little. I never knew how noisy chickens could be. That's what happens when you live in Fallbrook in the country. You
get chickens and they're noisy.
I know. So I want to welcome you here to the Center for Spiritual Living Sunday service experience online. You know, we've been here in my living room for a number of months now. We're getting ready to move into a new experience of this in the next few weeks. So we're kind of enjoying the last few times of
live from the living room.
Live from the living room. Oh, I never came up with that.
You know what?
At the end, we come up with that. Okay,
That's
live from the living room. But I'm so grateful for John and for coming in and continuing this with me and creating a space for everyone. And we're so grateful for everybody who continues to pop on to say hello on the feed this morning. We're great to see you. I wish we could type and say hi to everybody, but I can't because we need to do this.
Well, so, yes.
Absolutely.
True.
Yeah. So
True.
I think we could get going. You ready?
Should we?
For a good day? I
Should
think
we?
It's a good day.
I don't know.
think
We
should.
haven't talked for 15 minutes first.
Well, I think we could talk later.
Yeah.
We've got plenty to say.
All right.
All right, great.
We are one. We are one. I am you. You are me. We are one. And in this unity, we all live in harmony, and peace has come. For we are one, and peace has come. For we are one.
And so just resting in this moment, we come together from across the miles and connect heart to heart in that spirit of oneness, in that spirit of love. And I know that this service on this day allows for some light, some laughter, some peace, and some joy to be shared as we remember God at the center of all things, in the center of all that unfolds in this day for each and every one of us. For we are one in this life, revealing its blessings, shining its goodness, and remembering the truth that all are connected in this spirit of love. And so I bless this service, and I bless this day, and I bless each and every person who tunes in, whether in this very moment or in the future, knowing that we are all embraced in this love, in this light, and in that our lives are gifts unto the world and are filled with peace, with love, and with joy. And so, with a grateful heart, I allow it to be. And so it is. Another nice full breath. And so this month is all about gratitude, right? So we're moving into the Thanksgiving holiday, even though it looks like it's going to be a little different this year.
Still can't believe it.
I know,
Halfway
we're talking
through
November.
Almost Thanksgiving.
I know.
Almost Christmas.
Oh, God.
Almost New Year's. I mean.
Well, we'll be happy for that, right? I think everybody's going to be happy for that. Okay, I'm okay with Thanksgiving. I'm not ready for Christmas, but I think we are all ready for New Year's Eve. I think that's going to be the biggest party. One of the things, now you got me going. So one of the things that we do on New Year's, we've done it since our older kids were young, is we go out in the back and we start screaming and banging pots and pans and just over the valley here. And so I have a feeling we're going to be doing a lot of that this year, that everyone's going to be out and celebrating goodbye 2020, goodbye 2020. Although we have learned a lot in this year, and I think it's bringing up a whole lot of new understanding and perspective on how we want to be in the world, right? And how we want to be together as a society and together and care for one another. But this has been a hard lesson. You think? It's been a little hard one lesson.
It's been interesting.
That's the word. That's one that we would say, let's unpack that. But
right.
I don't think we have enough time to unpack that today.
No. Yes.
No. It's been an interesting year.
Interesting. Some good, some bad, some,
Yeah, everything in between.
It's interesting.
It is. It's definitely one for the record books, and I think, I remember the beginning of the pandemic. I encouraged my daughter to make a journal, right, of this time, and I'm not sure if she's kept it up, but I really encourage everybody to do a journal of your experience in this time, because I think that we're going to look back at later and be like, oh yeah, that was that moment, and we'll be able to mine it for the richness that's here. Although right now it feels like a roller coaster ride that we're all just holding on to, right, to get through. It's like that. So knowing that the ride's going to end at some point.
We go up and we go down.
Around and around. I'm not a loop-de-loop person or a corkscrew person, but sometimes it feels like we're in the corkscrew of it, Yeah. And so, but anyways, that brings me back to just the sheer gratitude to be able to, and this isn't even our moment of gratitude yet, but the gratitude to be able to still connect and to continue awakening to the gifts that have come up this year, which are kind of amazing. So as we move towards the holidays, I think that's the focus that at least I'm focusing on and encouraging us to do. John's like, you're preaching at me. Yes,
no, that's okay. I'm your live audience.
Yes,
of one,
you are my
so
live audience of one. I've got some people who are listening
I know, but
to
you know
me
what
too,
I mean. I'm your in-person audience of one.
I know.
We don't have the cat in here.
Oh yeah, no, at least
Daisy's
you don't have the cat.
out there,
Yeah, the dog isn't here, or the cat, thank goodness, to jump up while you're playing, so. Which has happened, but not today, thank goodness.
No,
so,
not today.
I think we've got a chant.
We do. More in the theme of breathing that you've been developing already for this here.
Yes.
Today. It's always a good thing.
Oh yes, I love this.
The breath of God is breath in me, and resting in the breath of God, I know that all is well. The breath of God is breath in me, and resting in the breath of God, I know that all is well. The grace of God, the grace of God is grace in me, and resting in the grace of God, I know that all is well. The joy of God is joy in me, and resting in the joy of God, I know that all is well. The love of God is love in me, and resting in the love of God, I know that all is well. The of God is peace in me, and resting in the peace of God, I know that all is well. The light of God is light in me, and resting in the light of God, I know that all is well. Turn to the breath. The breath of God is breath in me, and resting in the breath of God, I know that all is well. 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 More
I
breath.
love that one. Yes. Yes, and that's so beautiful to take us right into our moment of gratitude. So again, in this season of gratitude, in this time when life is kind of upending itself a little bit, it's so important for us to continue our practice of gratitude. And so again, just this simple practice of taking a moment and closing your eyes and connecting to that breath of God, and just allowing that feeling of gratitude. Today I want you to start, I'm going to give you an assignment because that's who I am. I want you to start with gratitude for yourself. That was the theme of our meditation this morning, appreciation and gratitude for you. I want you to just allow yourself to share some appreciation for you. This year has been a challenging experience for so many. And however you've navigated it, you've done it with grace. You've done it the best you can. And let's be grateful for this moment, for this morning, for this fullness of life that we're experiencing here. Just breathing into that space, allowing some self-appreciation and gratitude. This is sometimes the most hard one to do. It's so easy to be grateful for all the other people and all the other things in our lives, but giving some self-appreciation sometimes is a challenge. And so just be gentle with yourself. And then allow that gratitude to grow for your life, for this amazing choose-your-own-adventure novel that you're creating in your life. For each choice we make, each step we take, each experience we have simply is the divine unfoldment of our own soul's adventures. And in its fullness, and sometimes they're a little bit more adventuresome and sometimes they're a little bit more peaceful. But just trying to stretch our arms of appreciation wide enough to hold our lives. And then I'm going to invite you to move into that place of appreciation for the divine, that spirit of God in your heart, whatever that infinite source is to you. For me, the word God just encompasses that all-powerful love. So whatever works for you in terms of the wording, just give some appreciation and gratitude for God. For it is the infinite source and support of each and every one of us in our lives. And again, it's just you can open your eyes and come on back when you're ready. It's just such a wonderful spiritual practice to infuse your days with gratitude. And the more you can do it, the more you find to be grateful for, and the more you find that it expands and it spreads so easily. And so when we show our appreciation for each other and for what we believe in and for those gifts of our lives, they just multiply and they expand and they expand. And it's just a spiritual principle, it's a spiritual law, and it always works. And so I encourage you to incorporate some specific gratitude time in your day. Again, I like to start my day with it. Even before I open my eyes, I find myself waking up with my gratitude list and going to sleep with my gratitude list, just so that my days are kind of encompassed in that. And it's really a powerful practice, so I'm going to invite you to participate in that. And also we want to move into a time of gratitude for you, for all of our congregation that continues to support financially the workings of this spiritual community. and I'm, have been as honest and transparent as we can be in this time, that it's been a little bit of a challenge, even with the changes that have happened in our situation with our building and all of that. We are moving towards a time when we are going to be, we are wanting to shift from filming from my living room to filming from the center. And we are hoping that that's going to support us, that we have enough support to be able to do that. And we are grateful for everyone who continues to give financially in support of that which you believe in, that which serves you, that which supports you. And I've been talking over the last number of weeks of the power of tithing, the power of spiritual giving, intentional spiritual giving, and how it can open those areas of block and limitation in your life. And I encourage you to continue to practice that. When you are spiritually fed by something, when you are inspired, if it's something that you believe in and you want to see grow and expand, that's where you give your time, your talent, and your treasure to, which is a financial gift. And it doesn't matter what that number is, but when you commit to that practice, and I always say 3 to 6 months, commit to giving a certain percentage for 3 to 6 months, and see how it seems like it's magic. But it opens up ways of receiving abundance and finances and all sorts of gifts and blessings that you would never have imagined. And I'll tell you story after story after story of people who come to me and say, I started to tithe, I started to give regularly, and then all of this amazing things happened. And so it's about giving back to God. It's about giving to that place that inspires you and reminds you of who you are. So we invite you to consider supporting the mission and vision of CSL TV, which is to be a light unto the valley and unto Southern California and now unto the world, to remember that there's goodness and there is support for each of us in this life. And so there's a number of ways that you could give. You could give through our website. You could call our phone number. Our beloved administrator Diane is in the office this morning waiting to take a call, or you could send your offering via the post office. I love supporting the post office these days, especially taking a stand to support the post office. So, and the address will be in the feed today. I could say it, but they're not going to get it from me saying it. They're going to.
Yes, it'll be posted.
It'll be posted. So and so thank you, Tina, for posting today, and for supporting that. So with that, let us just bless this offering as we make the commitment to create a space of love and of light for all. CSL TV is that divine idea in the mind of God that calls forth to all those who can be served by this message. And through our gifts, we are able to deepen and expand our offerings and to move forward in this new way, revealing the unfoldment of spiritual community, which is a light unto our lives. And it's the gift we give to the community. And so I bless this offering. I give thanks for it and know that it goes forth to multiply, to expand, to seed that next evolution of growth for not only the community, but for each of its members and for all those who are touched by this message. And with a grateful heart, I allow it to be, and so it is.
Okay.
And so our affirmation of giving.
There's your phone over your...
I do. Yeah.
You're not doing it?
What, my phone?
Your phone, you usually put
I usually
over...
put my phone in my heart. Well, maybe I should, yeah.
All right, hey, sorry. Leave your phone there. I don't know what's happening, I'm sorry.
That's fine. No, it's funny. I was like, do you want to make a call? Do you
No.
I know. I realized
Yes,
I usually do it on my
what you
phone,
should.
so I place it on my heart, and I didn't do that today. So
I'm sorry.
it's okay. There's no problem. It's funny. All right, together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prosperous now. Yes.
Blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say, Amen. and always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say Amen. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say Amen.
We are blessed always. Goodness. So our reading today, again this year, we're sliding into the last two chapters. Look, I only have a little bit left here of 365 Science of Mind by founder of religious science Ernest Holmes. And today, actually, I'm reading the reading from yesterday, which is on page 337, and it's entitled Christ. The scripture is from Ephesians chapter 4, verse 13. Till we all come in the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the sons of God, unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ. The Bible tells us the real self of each of us is Christ. This Christ is perfect, invisible presence back of, in, and through every living soul. Just as there is but one God, or first cause, so there is but one person, the manifestation of the divine Spirit in and through all people. Throughout the ages, this Christ has come with some degree of clarity to those who have meditated long and earnestly upon the nature of the divinity that is in everything. Today, I permit Christ to be born in my consciousness. Today, I realize that the Christ is the universal person, appearing through every deed of goodness, truth, or love. As I unveil the Christ in my own nature, I know that the countenance of the same Christ will be revealed to me through others. I enter into my divine inheritance through the recognition of my union with the Supreme Spirit of God. And so it is.
So it is.
All right there.
All right.
So I'm going to step out of the way.
Leave that so I can make a call.
Yeah, no, you're not. You're
My
so funny,
goodness.
John. John Foltz, everybody.
I'm going to be thinking about that the rest of the day now.
Oh, you do not
It's
need to
okay.
worry about it. You're fine.
It's okay. In the darkest hour, when I cannot breathe, fear is on my chest, the weight of the world on me. Everything is crashing down, everything I had known. When I wonder if I'm all alone, I remember. You have always been faithful to me. I remember, even when my own eyes could not see, you were there, always there. I will lift my eyes, even in the pain, above all the lies. I know you can make a way. I have seen giants fall, I've seen mountains move, I've seen waters part because of you. And I remember. You have always been faithful to me. I remember, even when my own eyes could not see, you were there, always there. can't stop thinking about, I can't stop thinking about, I can't stop thinking about your goodness, goodness. I can't stop thinking about, I can't stop thinking about, I can't stop thinking about your goodness, goodness. I can't stop thinking about, I can't stop thinking about, I can't stop thinking about your goodness. I can't stop thinking about, I can't stop thinking about, I can't stop thinking about your goodness, goodness. Now I remember, you have always been faithful to me. I remember, even when my own eyes could not see, you were there, always there with me.
Beautiful. Yay! Oh, lots of hearts, lots of hearts, lots of hearts. Absolutely.
All right.
All right, let's switch it up.
Switch it up.
I won't be singing.
Come on.
I don't want that. We want people to stay on so you not get off it.
Okay.
Okay. All right, everybody, so I'm in the right spot.
You're good.
Okay. All right, so let's take our deep breath. And that felt so good. Let's do that again. Nice deep breath. And so I just want to thank John. That's such a beautiful song. And I think that that's such a perfect theme right now is about remembering. There's so much going on in the world and in our lives and everything that's been happening, and it's really important that we take the time to remember, that we remember who we are, we remember what we're capable of, and we remember the divine presence in our lives. And so that really is the theme of what I'm talking about today. My talk is based on the reading, the concept of the human gives way to the divine. And that's a phrase from Ernest Holmes, it's a phrase from The Science of Mind. And you see it repeated in different works that he did. And part of it speaks so importantly to that divine unfoldment. So I'm going to start with a premise that it doesn't matter whether you realize this or not. It doesn't matter whether you believe what you believe, what your religion is, what your history is. The truth is that life is a divine unfoldment. We have been called here on purpose. We have been created in this life. It's not an accident. You are not an accident. Your life is not an accident. We've been called here for this spiritual adventure. And there's purpose to it. There's meaning to it. When you look out at the world and you look at nature, everything is in its own perfect place and everything has its own purpose and meaning. And so why would we not be part of that? Why would everything else in the world that works together and is interconnected and so perfectly manifest, I guess, but and then for us to be all random ideas or random experiences? We're not. We have come here on purpose, and so there's a spiritual aspect to the unfoldment of our lives. And so what Ernest Holmes talks about in terms of the human gives way to the divine, it's that our recognition, right? It's our recognition that we might come in thinking that we're these limited, haphazard experiences. You know, my mom got together with my dad and there's I'm not going to go into the biology of it, which I could, and then here I am, right? And so good luck, there you go, you know. it doesn't work that way. There is a divine appointment that of all of the nature and all of the universe coming together to have each of us be born. And so what our path in this life is a recognition of that, is a traveling forward to an understanding that we truly are the divine gift to the world, and we have a divine nature as part of us. But it doesn't start that way. It starts with us feeling small or limited or broken, and the way that we relate to all of those different experiences of our life can I often say, when something happens in our life, we can spiral up into a greater understanding, a greater perspective, a greater way of being in our lives and in the world, or we could spiral down into feeling trapped and broken and wrong, and have that self-critic just hammer us. That's why today in our meditation and today in our gratitude, it's really about appreciating who you are. It's really about taking some time to realize that even if you think you've made a lot of mistakes, even if you think that what you've done in your life was wrong, right? Who says what's right, what's wrong? But we hold those judgments on ourselves. And so the best first step we can take along the spiritual journey is to show a little self-appreciation, is to realize that there's a divine spark within us, that we are part of the divine nature. And as soon as we can start with that, the human can begin to give way to the divine. So what happens is, when we get called, something calls us to look at life a little bit differently, right? Like something will happen, maybe it's a situation in our lives or a yearning within that we can't ignore anymore, but something will call us to say, okay, I need to understand life a little bit more. That was the thing that maybe took you into the center for the first time. Maybe it's the thing that made you get online and do the Google search, and all of a sudden CSL TV popped up and you popped on our Facebook feed for the first time, or stumbled into the center, or started reading something. But there's something within us that says, enough. I need something more. And what happens is you start to practice. You start maybe doing your meditation. You start to do a little bit of prayer, whether you believe it or not, whether you feel it or not. We know the steps to take to start to do that. And what happens, though, is that along the way there, we begin to see things differently. Our awareness begins to shift. We hold ourselves differently than maybe we did in our lives before. Our self-esteem grows. Our appreciation for our gifts and our contributions, our empowerment starts to expand, right? And you begin to perceive life a little bit differently. That's when the human starts to give way to the divine. Because look, in life, we are all faced with challenges. That's what this life is. It's a series of challenges, and both personally and collectively. And the collective, whether it's our families, whether it's our communities, whether it's our country, whether it's the world. We are faced with obstacles, with situations. Life was not promised to us to be easy. I always remember this. A colleague of mine often said, life was not promised to be easy for us. God's promise was that we wouldn't be alone. We wouldn't be alone. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Right? That God promised that we would be together, that we would not be experiencing the challenges of life without resources, without support. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Those are the spiritual understanding, those spiritual tools in that presence that is there to guide us and support us in this. So that means that there will be an ease to life. There's a difference between experiencing ease even amidst the challenges, rather than saying life is going to be easy. God's promise throughout the scriptures was that we will never be alone, that we're not forsaken, that we're not abandoned, and we're not left out in the cold to handle the trials and tribulations by our own power. Because by our own power, we're limited. But if I try to do something myself, I can only lift so much. I am pretty strong, but I can only lift so much in my own life. But with the divine power, I have the strength of 20 men. Because I know those resources come forward to guide me, to support me, and to help me. And that's the truth for each and every one of us. From the Bible, from Matthew 19:26, it says this, "But Jesus beheld them and said to them, with men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible." From Mark 11:24, "Therefore I say to you, what things soever you desire when you pray, believe that you receive them and you shall have them." The resources that you need to know that God is right there already, and then those resources, that support pours itself forth to you and through you. You are never alone. Matthew 7:8, "Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives. And the one who seeks will find. And to the one who knocks it will be opened." But what the challenge with all of these things is, yes, God is there for us, but we need to do the seeking. We need to do the asking. We need to make space for it. We need to believe it. And as you open to it, as you affirm it, as you allow it, then you begin to see it. Ernest Holmes said that that there's a power for good in the universe and you can use it. But the truth is we have to use it. We have to know how to use it. We have to know how to welcome it, to align with it, to embrace it, to allow it to work in our lives. From the human, limited perspective, we often go into a place of that energy of that life is happening to us. The space of the victim consciousness, where we're being tossed around. I like to say that it's like being in the spin cycle, right? Like life is spinning us around and we're knocking around and we have no control over it. But that's just not true. Even in those moments when there's difficulty, even those moments when there's challenge, we are able to stop and say, okay, God, show up. Show me. I'm willing. I'm willing to see this differently. I'm willing to awaken to what needs to happen here. I'm willing to give my gift fully. Show me the way. And we are being called to open in a deeper and a more expanded way, especially right now, right? This year, again, we were joking about 2020 before, but that's what this is doing. We have been in the spin cycle of 2020 for a while. And I was inspired by this talk this week, partially by a number of conversations I had coming off the election and coming off of these couple of tumultuous weeks where people were still not realizing that they're supported. That even though it may seem like it's a doomsday moment, we've got to leave space for God. We've got to welcome that and allow it to be alive in our minds, in our hearts, and in our experience. So what I have also found over the years is that when people start to do their spiritual work, when they start to do their meditation and they start to read and we get a little bit of knowledge, right, then that transformation doesn't happen as quickly as we want it to. The human does not give way to the divine fast enough, right? Like we think we get one class in and we're like, okay, I'm ready, here we go. And well, where is it? It's not happening. Why isn't it happening? What's going on? Rev Katherine's full of baloney. This isn't true, And the truth is that we're also called to, I'm glad you think that's funny, John, but the truth is that we're also called to develop our patience, our peace, in understanding the unfoldment. Consciousness takes time to deepen. This is a time when I'm doing some planting in my yard for after the first of the year in Southern California. There's a whole new crop of things that come to grow, and so I'm planting seeds for one of my favorite things to plant is sweet peas, those beautiful flowers. And it's a spring flower, but here in Southern California, spring starts January 1st, basically, more often than not. So now is the time to plant the seeds for them. I want those sweet peas now, that fragrance and that beauty. I love to put them in, I have my vase already up on my counter that I love to put them in, this beautiful rustic little vase. I can't have them now because I just planted the seed and I have to allow the seed to do what it needs to do to deepen and to take root before it can start to grow. We are each like a beautiful sweet pea seed, this tiny little seed that has so much potential in it. And if we could just give ourselves the timing and the patience to allow it to germinate, to pop open, right? To throw out its deep roots and then begin to grow, the beauty of life reveals itself. I want us to remember that when we get frustrated and when we think, I should know this, I should be better, I should have known, I should have done something differently, why can't I? We need to pause. And we need to breathe. And we need to remember that we've just been planted. And so as we allow that process to unfold, we can allow the human to begin to give way to the divine. It also takes choosing to live a life where we live in alignment with the divine. We need to choose God. We need to choose what we know to be true about life and about spirit itself. And you find that by communing in your heart. You're never going to find it out there in the world. You're never going to find an affirmation of God out in the world, of the infinite love that wants to be made known to you and through you. We're never going to find it when we look outside. We're only going to be able to find it when we look inside. And what that means is we need to get a hold of our mind space. We need to choose to allow our minds to focus on what we know to be true about life and about God, and to not spin out of control with fear, with worry, with concern. We have to choose to fill our time and our consciousness with messages and images that feed and nurture that deep knowing that there's something greater than this, that you are something greater than the smallest judgments you hold on yourself. And when we begin to realize this, when we begin to realize that there is something else there, that you're not just fooling yourself and you're not making it up, that there is an urge, an understanding, a depth of knowing, that limited perspective that we carry, those limited perspectives that we carry about ourselves, about what's possible for our own lives. And right now, it's important for us to realize that we are carrying a limited idea of what's possible in our country and in the world. That begins to lessen. And the walls of limitation begin to fall. A deeper knowing reveals itself. And again, the human begins to give way to the divine, which just means that you're beginning to realize your true self. The science of mind reminds us that we must understand that the Christ is not a person, but a principle. As the human gives way to the divine in all people, they become the Christ. So when we talk about the Christ, we're not talking about Jesus' last name. It's not that. It's that Jesus gained a level of conscious understanding. It's the enlightenment of understanding that he knew so completely of his union with the divine, that there was no separation of God and Jesus, that Jesus was the emanation of the divine presence, and he came to teach us that. These things and greater shall ye do, he said to us. It is not I, but the Father within that doeth the works. We are connected to the infinite Spirit of God. But we cut ourselves off and we hold ourselves small and we leave ourselves limited. And that is what brings pain and difficulty and the challenges in our lives. If we study Jesus' life as a living example, he's pointing the way to a greater expansion, a greater awakening to the truth that's already right there, right where you are. So when we hit those rough moments, right, those speed bumps, when those challenges, the diagnosis, the job loss, the relationship change, the loss of a loved one, we're called to remember that there's something greater operating through us, for us, and as us. And yes, those situations are difficult. Those situations are challenging. It's hard. And there's a lot of painful emotion. But when we realize that something greater is revealing itself to us and through us and as us, there's a comfort and a peace and a love and a depth of understanding the richness of life, unlike anything we've ever experienced. And so you can move into that place of deep gratitude and appreciation for the magnificence of this life, for the bigness of this life, for the power of this life. And you can use that experience to deepen your relationship with the one and allow your own presence to expand. We need to not allow ourselves to get stuck in that place of limited thinking. We need to create a space of God in our world and open to a higher vision, a wider acceptance, a deeper knowing. What we need to do is we need to look up. We need to stop looking down into limitation, and we need to look up. It reminds me of one of my favorite Psalms, which is Psalm 121, a song of ascents. It says this: I lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord watches over you. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore. We need to remember that we are always supported, and that presence is always there to remind us that we are not alone. You know, one of the things that happens is that it's always darkest before the dawn. And that platitude is a platitude, but the thing about it is that there's a truth to it. Right when we get into the darkest moment of our challenge, right when we get into that most difficult place, that place that feels like we're going to be broken apart, there is a ray of light that shows up right over that hill. And if we can look up to that hill, to that place of the divine, then that inspiration will come. Then that new way of seeing will come. Now, then that opportunity will show up, and it will reveal itself for us. But what happens is, so often we let that fear, that worry, that deep concern paralyze us, to keep us chained to that place of limitation. And what I want to remind us is that those painful emotions that show up in the challenges of our life can be productive if we allow them. They can guide us and support us to a deeper realization of what we are believing, and compare it to what we want to be believing, if we let that. We can get stuck in the limitations of our minds, our limited thinking. Again, that quote that's associated with Einstein is, you can never solve a problem with the level of consciousness that created it. We need to have a different way of seeing, a different way of being, to allow for something new to come forward. But if we can let the fear and worry lead us to a clearer understanding of what we believe in, then we can readjust and realign with life and with God. And then the human can begin to give way to the divine. It reminded me of a little story this week. That there was a Buddhist monk. And this Buddhist monk walks up to a hot dog vendor and says, "Make me one with everything." And after a brief chuckle at the monk's joke, the vendor hands him his hot dog with everything and says, "That'll be $4, please." And the monk hands over a $10 bill and waits while the vendor just stares back at him. And awkwardly, the monk says, "Well, what about my change?" "Ah," replies the hot dog vendor, "change must come from within." We can only make those shifts from within, right? We can only change our understanding. We can only change our idea of limited thinking from within, and it's by aligning what we know to be true. So all of that spiritual study, all of that understanding, all of the learning piece that's alive in our mind, we need to realize that we need to align that with our actions, with our choices, with the way that we are in the world. And that is when our walls of limitation begin to fall, because we are constantly redefining our relationship to ourselves and to our God and to life through our experiences. We are constantly, it's course correction, right? It's course correction. That I learned about it in sailing, right? That they do course correction, that they don't go in one direction straight to where it is. They have to go with the wind. So they go in the direction of where we're headed. That's what life is like. The other analogy for me is last year we were doing a lot of bowling. I miss bowling, actually, although I'll probably never wear the shoes again. I'll probably never wear the shoes again. But what I love about bowling is when my daughter was young, we would put the bumpers up, right? And that's what would happen with her ball. Her ball would go this way, and then it would course correct that way, and it would course correct that way. And more often than not, she got like a strike. Rolling it through her legs. And I would try really hard and I wouldn't, but that's a story for another day. I'm going to accept and appreciate my bowling capabilities because it's more fun than not. So we are constantly redefining our relationship to God through our experiences. We are constantly being course corrected. We are constantly being bumped in the direction that our soul wants to move in. And the truth is that life is a natural unfoldment of this, and we can either allow it and allow it to take us deeper into our relationship or broader into the experience, or we can fight it. And when we fight it, we almost argue for our limitations. How hard are you going to fight for those judgments that you hold on yourself that aren't even true? Because when we hold on to our limitations, when we fight for our limitations, all we do is suffer. We create suffering and we create pain in our experience. But if we allow a deeper realization that this experience, though painful, though difficult, if we can allow the Spirit's wisdom to guide us, we can move to a deeper place of understanding. And again, the human can begin to give way to the divine. Now, this is a theme. What happens to me is when I start working on a theme, all of these experiences come to me that support the idea that I'm working with, and that's the way that I know that I'm going in the right direction for the talks when I'm putting them together. And just this week, author Elizabeth Gilbert put up a post that was so clear to this that it was so perfect that I didn't even really want to paraphrase it. I just wanted to share it with you. And so this is a letter that she wrote to her followers about her experience of what it means to look up. She says this, "Dear ones," and she talks about when she had an experience of depression. She says, "When I was battling depression years ago, I made a realization. The most dangerous place in the world for me was lying alone in my bed, not sleeping, not reading, but thinking. And the most dangerous part of my day was that period between when I woke up and when I stood up. And the longer I extended that time period, the longer I stayed in bed, captivated by what I came to call horizontal thinking, the worse off I would be. The disease of my depression wanted me to stay horizontal for as long as possible, where it had me hostage. Once the thinking began, then the brooding would begin. And once the brooding began, well, then I was truly in trouble. Because then came the worst movie ever made. All those images of anxiety, shame, despair, regret, unworthiness, past failure, and future catastrophes. And once that movie took me hostage, the challenge of standing up became even more difficult, and my day was already ruined. Somewhere in my recovery from depression, I was able to create an iron-bound rule for myself. There are only 3 things I'm allowed to do in bed: sleep, read, or if I'm lucky, make out with someone." She said, "Yes," I said, "make out. I'm in 8th grade." "But what I cannot do in bed, if I want to survive the treacherous crevasses of my own mind, is think. And if I stay there too long, horizontal and captivated by my own deadly imagination, I'm doomed. I created a script to say to my mind, if you are awake enough to tell me that I'm empowered, if you are awake enough to tell me that I am empowered to stand up. And sometimes standing up is the biggest victory of all. I don't know who needs to hear this today, but here it is. If you are physically able, get up now. Nothing good will ever come to you from horizontal thinking." Again, that's what I want you to know. Nothing good will ever come to you from horizontal thinking. Don't let your mind win its most brutal game. You deserve better. Get vertical. Move your mind to a higher altitude where the view is better. You can do this, she says. And so that was so powerful to me because I had just learned a new exercise, and I've been dying to work it out. I'm working through it and practicing it myself, and it was perfect for us to practice this week. And with her writing, it was just a great reminder that we have a tendency to fall into our limited thinking. We have a tendency to fall back on that limitation that we hold for ourselves, and we need to recreate our way of being and relating to the situations in our lives. And so I've got an exercise that I learned this week, and it's about where we look. Again, our goal is to look up, right? But what happens is when you are dealing with an issue, say there's a financial challenge that you're having, just what the exercise is this: I want you to take it into your mind, and I want you to practice looking down. When you look down and you have that issue in your mind, I'll tell you, all you see is the problem. All you see is the limitation of all the reasons why anything you try isn't going to work, why you're doomed. And all of that doomsday thinking that Elizabeth Gilbert was talking about is activated when we look down. Now, when we gaze out, when you look out, what she was calling horizontal thinking, maybe there's a little bit of an idea there, maybe there's a way forward, but it's you in your will trying to make it happen. And that is it's better, but what we want to do is we want to gaze up. I lift up my eyes to the mountains from whence my support will come. When you start to look up and you hold your challenge in your mind, something changes and you open to divine inspiration, you open to possibility thinking, you open to an expansive opportunity that will come to you. It's like magic. It's this amazing gift, and I'm not sure if it's NLP or neuro-linguistic, what's the P? Neuro-linguistic programming, or I'm like, wait, I just lost the word there for a second. So maybe it's NLP, maybe it's spirituality, maybe it's just a beautiful symbolism of opening to something new. But this week I've been practicing for this class that I'm in, looking up at least 10 minutes a day. And when you can start your day, even if you don't have a problem, but just looking up, you open to welcoming and allowing the divine to come into your experience in such a powerful way. So this week, I'm going to invite you to practice with me that divine gaze, gazing upon the hills, gazing out into possibility, gazing beyond our own sense of limitation. Let's see beyond that humanness and realize that which is beyond our scope of knowledge is still there to support you. Let's make room for the infinite in our lives, to make space for God, so that we can shed another layer of our humanness, of that sense of limitation, of that judgment that we hold on to ourselves, and welcome that divine, welcome that infinite nature, and allow each of us to take another step in letting the human give way to the divine that is already right there within you. That divine spark is there. Let it glow, let it shine, let it grow. And watch as all of those challenges that we're still faced with are infused with a sense of ease and a sense of grace, because that's God in action in your life. And so it is. It's my best wish for each of us this week. With love. Yeah. There we go. Yay! Yeah. Yay, I'm done. All right. And with that, let's welcome John Foltz back.
Hey, everyone. So I forgot to mention earlier that song I did earlier was Lauren Daigle.
Yes, who just won an American Music Award.
She's really awesome, actually. Quite a great songwriter. So I'm actually going to do another of Lauren Daigle. So we're having a double Daigle day.
Double Daigle day.
Double Daigle day. Don't try and say that 10 times fast.
I will not.
This is I keep hearing this one on the radio an awful lot these days as well. So.
keep fighting voices in my mind that say I'm not enough. Every single lie that tells me I will never measure up. Am I more than just the sum of every high and every low? Remind me once again just who I am, because I need to know. Ooh, you say I'm loved, but I can't feel a thing. You say I'm strong, but I think I'm weak. You say I'm held, when I am falling short, and when I don't belong. Oh, you say I'm yours, and I believe. Oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe. The only thing that matters now is everything you think of me. In you I find my worth. In you I find my identity. Oh, you say I'm loved, but I can't feel a thing. You say I'm strong, but I think I'm weak. You say I'm held, and I am falling short, and when I don't belong. Oh, you say I'm yours, and I believe. Oh, I believe what you say of me. Oh, I believe. Taking all I have and now I'm laying it at your feet. Oh, you'll have every fear, God. You'll have every victory. You say I'm loved, and I can't feel a thing. You say I'm strong, but I think I'm weak. You say I'm held, but I am falling short, and when I don't belong. Oh, you say I'm yours, and I believe. Oh, I believe what you say of me. Oh, I believe. Oh, I believe. Yes, I believe what you say of me. Oh, I believe.
Oh, beautiful. Whew.
Yay for Lauren
Yay,
Daigle.
Lauren Daigle, yay, John Foltz. You're the best. I'm coming back. Oh, no, I gotta get my tears off my eyes here. Oh my goodness. Thank you for doing that song. It's perfect.
Thank
It's
you.
perfect. So great. All right, everybody. So we've got a bunch of stuff going on. I'm pretty excited about it. As you know, the ongoing stuff, our book study's been meeting on Wednesday mornings online. Pam Migliosi. Our men's ministry has been meeting every Wednesday morning. This is such a great thing for the men of our community. They meet on the first and third on Zoom, first and third Wednesdays on Zoom, and the second and fourth at Journey's Restaurant. Reverend Michael is leading that up, and I'm so grateful for our beloved men's ministry and our sisters in spirit, again, Pam Migliosi, who they meet the first and third Thursday of the month. So the first Thursday they do like grab your toast and coffee and get on Zoom and have a chat. And that's actually been growing a little bit. They were worried that some people weren't showing up as much, but that's been growing. And it's such a great time to just connect. You know, I know we've all got a little bit of Zoom fatigue, but you know what, we're going to have to push through that because those connections are so important. And then on the third Thursday of the month, they're meeting at Journeys also over at Pachanga. So let's see, our Spiritual Connection at 7 series continues, 7 a.m., 7 p.m. for a 20-minute meditation. Our Wednesday night check-in is back. I started that this past week again, and so that's really lovely. What we do is we come together and just do a quick chat. Everybody does a little check-in of what's the high, what's the low, what's the challenge, what's the joy, and then we do some spiritual practice together, and that's such a lovely time. So that's Wednesday nights, but every other night and every other morning it's 20-minute meditation, and this is the big deal. You ready? I'm so excited. So next Sunday, November 22nd, is our Thanks for Giving Sunday, and we are having a Thanks for Giving drive-in event, which is what we're calling it. And so at our new space at the Masonic Lodge in Temecula. So this is how it's going to work. We are collecting food for the Community Mission of Hope food pantry. And we are collecting, through the Interfaith Council, they are collecting blankets and jackets. There's a huge need in the Hemet School District right now for warm things. There's a number of kids, it really touched my heart hearing about this at the Interfaith Council meeting this week, that there are a number of kids families who have lost their homes. And a bunch of the children are living in their cars. And they don't have jackets and they don't have blankets. And so the Interfaith Council is working with a number of churches to collect so that we can donate. So we thought that we would put together a fun event. And so this is what we're going to do, is that from 12 to 2, we've got 20-minute slots that you can register for, 1 slot per family. And you drive in at the beginning of your slot. We're going to have spaces that are in our parking lot with balloons and stuff. And we have a little gift bag for the family of a gift from CSL-TV of fun things. And we'll be able to collect any donations that you've got. And our practitioners are going to be there to do a prayer, and we're going to be there. I'm going to be there to say hello and to greet everybody. And so we're really excited. We're going to have some music. We're going to have some fun. It's going to be exciting, and we want everybody to sign up for a slot. So right now we have 20-minute slots from 12 to 2. We'll open 2 to 3 if we get all of those filled. But what you do is it's on Facebook. We'll put it in the feed. There's an Eventbrite link to get tickets for it, which is just a reservation basically. That's free.
Free tickets.
It's free tickets. Free tickets. Yeah. Well, a reservation because we have to watch the traffic. It's going to be a little interesting to do. And so so we really encourage you to come say hello. You can come and take a look at the outside of our new space. You will have to stay in your car. Please wear a mask. But it will be so great to connect and so great to see everybody and to be able to give a little bit of a gift and to collect donations and just be together in a new way, a step forward, right? So we're so excited about that, and I really hope you plan to come and see us and say hello. And that's next Sunday, and so the Eventbrite registration is up. And it's on our Facebook, it's on our website, and it'll be in my, you'll get you may have already gotten the evite from me about that, so it'll be in your email if you're part of our email list. So, exciting, right? Yay, we get to see people! It'll be hard to not hug everybody, but we will be praying, we will be celebrating, we will be visiting, and just 20-minute slots. So, 12 to 12:20, 12:20 to 12:40, 12:40 to 1 o'clock, and then as you go around. You don't need me to do
every 20 minutes.
Every 20 minutes. So, okay. So, and with that, it's just so exciting to, be able to share the love of this community again, and to see everyone in person. So I really hope you come and celebrate with us our Thanks for Giving event this year. It's a little different than we normally do, but we're excited for that.
Fun,
Yeah.
making the most of it.
Absolutely, it's a whole new world, so we're ready to do that. And so with that, let's do some prayer. And get ready for our beautiful Sunday today. And so just resting in this moment, steeped in that love of the divine. I remember that infinite source of all life that is God, and that in expression it is that deep love of all creation and each and every one of us, that divine spark that's alive at the center of our being. And so I know God is all, as all, has brought forth all that exists and all that ever will, and continues to source and support its creation in its abundant fullness. The blessings of Spirit abound around each and every one of us, for we are one in this power, in this presence, in this life, in this light. And that divine spark is alive within each of us, reminding us of our connection to God, connection to each other, and each is a channel of divine light into the world. And so as we step forth in this week, we stand strong in that foundation of knowing that we are part of this divine life, and the limitations that we hold on ourselves begin to fall away. As if a wall that simply crumbles, for it cannot stand in the light of the one. And so I know that comfort and that peace, that love that is God resonates within each of us, reminding us that we're not alone, reminding us that we are more than we think we are. And as we step forth from that feeling, I know that our conscious minds align to that truth and create more of it, allowing us to look up to the infinite, look up to the possibility, look up to the presence as it makes itself known to us, and using these challenges, using this experience of our lives to expand our understanding of the spiritual nature of all things, of each other, and of the divine unfoldment, making space for the infinite, making space for the possibilities, for the power and the presence in love, in harmony, in peace, and in joy. And so stepping forward in this day, I know that this is a day of light, this is a day of joy, it is a day of celebration and realization, as the humanness gives way to the divine truth of our being, and that light shines brightly before us. And so I bless it, and I celebrate it, and I honor it, and I give great thanks for the movement of love, the movement of God, not only in my life, but in the lives of each and every person within the sound of my voice and all beings everywhere. Let us realize this spiritual adventure we are walking and know that it is God in action and all is well. And so it is.
There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. Didn't know the love of God was at hand. Now I can say that if you are discouraged, struggle just to make it through another day, you got to let it go. Let it all go. And listen what you have to say. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in spirit. Yes, I'm only for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
And as we step forth in this week, we welcome the infinite and allow its grace to move in our experience. And so it is.
So it is.
Yay, thank you, John.
Yay.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Diane. Thank you for everybody for coming. We're so grateful. We'll see you online this week, and we'll see you in person next Sunday. Get on and make your reservations. We'll see you soon.
Free tickets!
Free tickets!